I'm in Bloomington. Bucky's in Colorado, near Denver. Bloomington, Indiana, that is. And we're all here to talk about digital ham radio, answer questions, and just listen to what you got to say. We do prefer checking through ham.live, HAM period LIVE. If you have a Gmail address, just click on that Gmail button and follow the prompts. If you don't have a Gmail address, there's a little box there to the right of the Gmail button that you can put your email address in, and it will send you an email with a link. If you need more help with that, let us know. Reset. All right. There are ways for people to listen to this net, even if they don't have a ham radio or a ham license. I'm not sure if Matt is got his YouTube, but that is at kf0owb.net, and you can find a link there. Also, a good one I use frequently, Hoseline from Brandmeister. That's hose.brandmeister.network. And this is talk group 31088. Okay. Also, please check out our home webpage, coloradodigital.net. Lots of good resources. And even things like how to put together an XLX reflector. Very good. Anyhow, check it out. There's also a donation spot to help defray the cost of upkeep. You're welcome to make any donations. It's not required, but you're welcome to do it. One more break to reset. Dan, did you have a comment? No, negative. Just trying to check in. Sorry, I just had to bust you. Anyway, please do. And that concludes the opening message. First is, does anyone have any announcements that would be of interest to the net? Please come now. Okay, nothing heard. So I will be putting a few links in the chat room here shortly. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to send it over to Bucky, and he's going to call the roll, as it were. Bucky, it's your turn. KB2IDX, over to you, sir. Okay, I got it. All right, thank you. Just taking care of, taking the time to move a few repeaters in here. All right. Stand by. Here we go. We've got 28 check-ins so far. I'm going to reset, and then I'll read these, and then we'll take just a couple of over-the-air check-ins, and then we'll have another opportunity at the end. All right, here we go. I'm going to restart and get this going. Stand by. All right, here's who we've got checked in so far, 28 check-ins, myself and Chris, and then we've got W1BKW, KF0OTF, W5STC, KE0YAK, KE9BJL, WD0CIV, K0GIO, KA5JKI, N6PSP, KF0IGK, KI7NTK, KN4FM, W0KVZ, VE4DBZ, KF0NYC, N7DEN, KF0OWB, K2AS, N0KU, and W7FMJ, N1UKJ, KJ5EBU, AD2IZ, KCAGEF, and WA5RAG, W1VAN, W6CEP, W5RAG, VK2MFW. And now we've got up to 31 already. Stand by, and I'll take just a few over the air if you don't have internet access. All right, here we go, over the air. Please come now with your call sign if you'd like to check in non-electronically. KV1PZS, that's Kilo Bravo 1, Papa Zulu Sierra. Name here is Bob in Connecticut. Kilo Quebec 1, Uniform Sierra Alpha, Jamie, Mobile, Central Alabama, KQ1 USA Mobile. Okay, great, guys. Thanks for checking in. I got Bob in Connecticut, KV1PZS. And I've got Jamie. Thanks a lot, Jamie, in Alabama, KQ1 USA. 34 check-ins. All right, I got a radio in the other room. I left the volume up, and it's driving me crazy. Over to Chris, KB2IDX. I'm going to go run over there, and then I'll be right back. So go ahead, Chris. This is W0SUN. Yeah, okay. One quick mention, Bob, KB1PZS, just a little hot on the microphone, so just back up from it just a hair. It was just a little hot. No biggie. And going to be a fun night. So, Bob, we just added 2 more. I'm going to read them off real quick. N0DIS and N6UTC. And I like N0DIS because he has a dachshund right on his little symbol there in Hams Out Live, and I'm a dachshund person. Anyway, back to ham radio. Are you back, Bucky? KB2IDX. Well, don't run. Don't need you falling over. And in the meantime, we added NT6DX. But we now are up to 37. And I believe that's getting close. Over to you, Bucky. Hopefully you're back now. I'm done stalling. KB2IDX. Yeah, I just like to leave a space once in a while. So I was better. I actually hit the PTT and you beat me to it. All right, so we're down to, we got Brian, and T60X. Great. All right, we've got 37 check-ins. All right, let's see. We got a few things to announce real quick. Let me get my notes. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. I've got to get this photo, but one thing I want to talk about. One thing that was really cool for me this week, and we talked about it briefly last week on Thursday, at the very, very end of the net, regarding the M1KE. If you don't know what that is, it's from Shark RF, and I call it, we call it the mic, or M1KE from Shark RF, the same people that create the OpenSpot 4 Pro. It's a communication system in the palm of your hand. So, you know how we put a computer and we stick that AMBI chip in and it becomes kind of you make your computer into a digital communication system. Basically, you talk through the mic and on your laptop. So that's a cheap, that's a really good way to go to get into digital. You buy a USB stick with an AMBI chip, a vocoder chip, and it only costs you 120 bucks. You stick that in the USB port, you download some software, and it's called BlueDB, and you're good to go. You're talking on the digital system. That's a communication system created from that AMBI chip. Well, Shark RF created a communication system that fits in the palm of your hand. It's called a mic. Great. It does YSF, it does D-Star, it does DMR, and I think a couple of others. But with the latest firmware, guess what? This is the coolest thing ever. It does All-Star. Yes, you can connect to the All-Star networks now, and with your mic, it goes in and comes out somewhere on the All-Star network on somebody's repeater or node, and it goes FM. So, yeah, pretty cool. I think that's the coolest thing ever. So, just wanted to let you guys know that. That's a huge thing for me. I've been playing with it with N7VDR, Jimmy, and it works real nice. All right, that's what I got. Let's see. Over to Chris. What else you got? There's a lot going on. I'll let you talk about the next interesting thing. Back over to you, Kate. Well, interesting thing happened. I think it was Monday. John Crook, Mr. Yaesu USA, posted on his Facebook page. All he did was post a picture of the FTX 1F, the new, hopefully soon to be released Yaesu QRP radio that includes C4FM. And it caused a bit of a stir, which I believe, since he's a salesman, he did that for a reason, because there's been a lot of questions. We've all had lots of questions. We want to know how much it's going to be. When's it coming out? Are the tariffs going to affect it? You know, these are all making people ask more questions, which they were all asked on that post. And after seeing all those questions, I did post something a little, at least I thought it was humorous, but I guess asked him if it's bigger than a bread box. He actually answered, yeah, I don't know, I haven't seen one yet, which is baloney. Anyway, that's a pretty interesting post to just post a picture of it. And I think we're getting it into the chat room, so you can take a look. And it's really kind of reinvigorated everybody's interest, which is, I'm sure, exactly what the plan was. Anyhow, what do you got next, Bucky? Back to you, sir. This is KV2 IDX.
Yeah, so we talked about this since they announced it. Oh my gosh, it was a long time ago. Um, I think it was November, December. No. Anyway, 2024 they announced this, and I was hoping it would come out. It never came out, but I think it's imminent because I just posted the Facebook post. All he did, and this is John Crook, the sales manager of Yaesu. That's all he did, is he posted a picture with some smileys. No pricing, no information, nothing. And it's a great looking radio from what I can see. It's about the same size as an FTM 510 or 500. It looks very similar. It's got a really nice screen that does the wave form of when you see, the what do you call that? Anyway, the thing, the I forgot what you call it. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, so no pricing yet. We don't know how much it's going to cost, but I can't wait to get my hand. I mean, I'm not going to buy one. It's a waterfall. Thank you. But I want to get my hands on it and play with it at ham radio outlet. That's going to be cool. Um, all right, let's see what else I got. I've got. Let's see. Um, we got. I'm going to let you talk about what you've heard. You heard a rumor or discussion about what the FCC is considering. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that real quick? Because that's interesting stuff. It's not really digital, but I think we need to talk about it real quick, just briefly. Over to KV2IDX from W0SUN.
Yeah, that's very interesting, of interest to all hams. Actually, everybody really. Um, I just heard it tonight. Don't have a whole lot of details on it, but here's what it's about. One of the things the FCC is considering in their delete mode is taking us down to 2 classes of license. And one side would be, it would be benefiting entry-level people more because it would add digital HF privileges. And hopefully they would take the other class and make it generals and above. That's my concern. I don't want to get burnt on that. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. That's really, I guess there's a couple of YouTube videos of people talking about it, but I never trust YouTube very much. Let me reset. So, if anyone else out there has heard any more, I would certainly like to know more myself. I bet everybody else would as well. Because the more I think about it, it's just it's just really weird. And really first, I guess they had 2 classes of license in like 1951. but it didn't last long. When I got my license, 86, I think. It's hard to remember that many years ago, but there was novice, tech, general, advanced, and extra, 5 classes. And I had to take 5 word per minute code test, and they let me take the 13 word per minute, which is what you were required to take for general, and I took that. I tried the 20 words per minute, which would have been the extra level code. But the point is, they had 5 classes of license, came down now to 3, and now they want to go to 2. I don't know. But anybody hear about that, let us know. I'm going to leave a space, Bucky, if anybody has a comment on that. But you can pick it up on the other side at will. KV2IDX. Hi, this is W0SUN. I wonder if anybody has a comment on that. I know we've got N6PSP, N6PSP. So stand by. I see you there. And if anybody has a comment about anything about this, let us know. We've got 42 check-ins so far. We've got Dan WX4C, Rip K3XO, Mike KD9YOO, Kip N7KIP, and Ray NC1RAY. Anybody have any comments on that, or have you heard anything about that? Just having 2 classes of licenses. That wouldn't be terrible. We get people using our frequencies still, and get more people into ham radio in different ways. It's a new time, new era. So it wouldn't be. I've been thinking about that a lot. Anyway, we just added KE0TPW. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to leave a space if anybody has any comments. This is W0SUN. Okay, let's go over, we got a question from N6PSP. What do you got for us, N6PSP? Go ahead, this is W0SUN.
Good evening, Bucky and Nanette. Our club is considering getting a Go Box or a portable version of DR2X. So I'm filled with questions. Is it considered a 1 rack unit size unit? Does anybody know of a good box that could be utilized for this purpose? Any guidance or pros or cons of doing this? Would be setting it up with 2 external antennas, avoiding the need for a duplexer. And I've already got an answer here from Trey, who's telling me it's a 2X rack unit. So I've placed my email address in here if anybody wants to send me links or something that way instead of through this portal. And anyway, I don't want to take up the whole evening or anything, but just any guidance you can give me on setting up a a portable DR2X. We're planning to use this for disaster preparedness, take it to field day, and use it for parades. We've been asked to participate in supporting parade activity here in the Palm Springs area. Thank you. Back to Bucky, N6 PSP.
Yeah, I wonder if Ivan has a picture of his in the rack. I can find one in a little bit. Yeah, it takes up. I agree. It takes up two racks. It would be. Let me see. I got this one. But yeah, it's a little bit bigger than a standard computer size. It would be a 2. What do you call that? 2U? I never referred to that. I'm a retired guy, old school. Yeah, it's a 2U. That's right, not a 1U. So it would take up 2. But we use one in a portable fashion for an event I do in Moab twice a year, and we just have it's kind of in a to-go box. We keep it in a trailer, and then we have a generator, and we just leave that generator go. It's a gas-powered generator, and we just let that run as we need to, and we move it every evening based on the route that these bicycles run in the canyons in southern Utah. So it works really well. But yeah, we have a trailer and we move the trailer in different spots. But that's how we do it. It's big. It's a big repeater. It's a standard size repeater. Back over to N6 PSP.
Okay, thanks, Bucky. That helps knowing for sure that it's a 2-rack unit. So I'm poking around looking at Gator brand boxes and that kind of stuff. So we're thinking, trying to keep it ultra portable for the parades and stuff. I'm hoping we can get a business downtown or a hotel or something with some elevation to give us access to a mechanical room or something so we could set it up there and run the antennas out into the clear somewhere just for the one day for the parade and then take it back down and stuff. So we're not getting as ambitious as a trailer or anything like that yet. So thanks again, Bucky. Back to you, N6 PSP.
All right. Yeah, we do C4FM the entire event, and in March it's a 4-day event, and we do another one in September, which is a 2-day event, and we do the whole thing on C4FM. You can do it on FM too if you want, but we do it on C4FM, and we don't have any static, and it works great. And we standardized. We have we have a few FTM 300s that we use, and then we put those in the wagons with the mechanics and the EMT people, and then a lot of people have their own C4FM radio, and it works really great. And we use group monitoring. We also use APRS, and we can see where everybody is on the route. And when you're communicating, if you look at your compass on your radio, you can see how far away people are and the direction of where they are from you. So there's a lot of advantages since we moved to digital. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know if you want to use FM or C4 FM, but it's cool because they do both, and we like that. All right, we started experimenting with it 3 years ago, and we've never gone back to FM since. This is W0SUN. Any other questions or comments? Please come now with your call sign. Okay, earlier today, we were on the Pi-Star chat and answering questions from somebody, and it was an interesting conversation. I don't know, Chris, you mentioned that in the chat room, so I am going to let you, if you like, just mention what we talked about a little bit today on Module G. If you go to XLX303 Module G, that's called Pi-Star Chat, and it's linked over to Andy's Pi-Star Chat Reflector, XLX672, and he's the guy that wrote Pi-Star. So over to KB2IDX. I don't know if you want to mention that, but I'll let you talk about it briefly. Over to you from W0SUN.
Sounds like you just let out a little tease to what might be coming later. Interesting. Yeah. We were talking with the gentleman that was asking. He had heard about a Pi-Star version. No, not WPSD, Pi-Star version 4.1.9. Now, I had not heard of such a version. And I told him so, and I went and looked Pi-Star.uk. There was no 4.1.9 there, and there was nothing in the beta releases either. So I said, I'm really not sure where you heard that, and talked back and forth a little bit, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Andy, MM0, I think it's WM, Andy Taylor, the author of the Pi-Star software. And then let me reset. What he told us is what I just didn't even think about it, but it makes sense. He said there is no downloadable image for 4.1.9, and there never will be. But you can get to that by going and clicking on the upgrade button, not the update, the upgrade button. So if you are on that level, you can get a newer update to 4.1.9. It was just kind of a really, when he said who it was, I just had to go with it, man. I just looked past what was happening. I couldn't really concentrate and be dumbfounded, but I was. Just kind of shocked me. Anyway, Bucky, that's about all that happened. In the end, I guess the guy felt like he was asking too many questions and decided to move on, and Andy disappeared as quickly as he showed up. Back to you, Bucky. KB2IDX.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And so right now, the version of Pi-Star on a certain version of Raspberry OS is what? Let me look. I forgot. If I go to Pi-Star and go to downloads, you'll see that the latest version is 4.1.8. So, yeah, very interesting. 4.1.8, and somebody was talking about a 4.1.9, but it hasn't been released yet, at least not publicly. And this has happened before. But if you go and do an upgrade, hit the upgrade button, go to advanced, go and hit the upgrade. Not the update, but the upgrade button. It'll actually update you to 4.1.9. So that was coming straight from Andy. And I guess that's happened before. So yeah, pretty cool. All right, stand by. Okay, I'm getting a lot of text here in the background. Somebody's texting me about trying to get on. All right, so let me try not to get distracted there. Let's see. What else we got? I think that's about it. All right. So anybody else have any questions or comments from the net? Or questions or comments for the net? Hang on a second. Let me just say who's coming. Oh, good. Paul, ZL2 Bravo Echo Zulu. He's checked in. I'm really glad you're there, Paul, because I have a question for you later. And we got Dave, KF0LGZ, and we got Steve, KA1CNF. Brings us to 46 check-ins. Thanks a lot, guys. All right. Any questions or comments for the net? Any more questions or comments for the net? Please come now. This is W0SUN. All right. So what I want to talk about today is our own reflector, XLX303. And let me put a link to XLX303, a direct link. All right. Man, I'm getting distracted from the chat room. I'm not going to look at the chat room. All right. So, we got a direct link to our XLX303 reflector. And, when you look at our reflector, it looks pretty busy. When you look at a regular reflector, not so busy. We've spruced ours up a bit and added a lot, so I guess it can be called confusing, but if you study it, you can see some uniformity to it. And we got some navigation information on it to help you navigate throughout the reflector. So this is XLX303. This is our home base. This is our kind of the hub of our system. And you guys might, I'm sure so many of you are familiar with it. So stand by. Let me reset. And I'm just curious, Chris, when you come in on Colorado HD, what is your main method of communication? When you're coming into the system, how are you coming in? WiresX, YSF, DMR? What's most of the time, what's the percentage of mode you use to come in? I'm just curious.
Just about 100% of the time, WiresX. But I do monitor like during a net. I monitor the VMR channel, and I monitor the YSF channel, and I also monitor the D-Star channel. So I'm watching all, but I'm only talking on WireSec. Back to you, KB2IDX.
Okay, real good. So the way we have our system set up is, for example, module D is the default module. So I think of it as one big conference center, and we've got different conference rooms. Now let's talk about D-Star navigation just really briefly. D-Star, this reflector comes from, or it's got its roots in D-Star. So reflectors in general all get their roots in D-Star. So D-Star has, when they first came out, they have a reflector, and you can go to module A, B, C, D, or E. That's it. The original reflectors had A through E. Now the reflectors have A through Z. So that's kind of cool. You get a lot more bang for your buck. But the original REF reflectors are A through E. And when you connect, you actually put a connect or a link command, and it has to be there's a certain type of connection system you got to type in, or you got to put this in your code plug or your computer software, or you got to do it on your radio. So you put the protocol. In this case, if you want to go to the XLX reflector, you got to type in XLX303DL. L has to be in the 8th place. It always has to be number 8. So if you put XLX303L and forget the D, it's not going to work. But it's always uniform, very uniform. XLX303DL. L is link. If you want to unlink, it's XLX303U or XLX303DU. Now you can also put DCS. DCS is the actual that's the actual modulation system. That's the protocol to navigate. So you can put DCS 303DL, and that comes from the original people that wrote this type of reflector are the guys in Germany, and they came out with the DCS types of reflectors. And there's a few still out there. You've got the DCS reflectors. Well, they had a lot of rigid, they kept it really tight, and there's a lot of nitpicky requirements to get access to that reflector, and a lot of people kind of, this is for the birds. Well, they took that code and they made it open source, and they came out with the new XLX reflectors using the same protocol as those DCS. So that's why the DCS and I'm not watching my timeout, but that was okay. I'm back in, and yeah, I'm coming in all the systems. So that's why the DCS. Now, the early reflectors, REF, every type of reflector has its own modulation or protocol system to go with it. So you got REF, XRF, DCS, and that's the type of reflectors. And this is D-Star. It's complicated. It takes a while to learn this, but when you link, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is L. Now I'm gonna see if Paul, do you ever use D-Star down in New Zealand? ZL2 Bravo Echo Zulu. Do you ever link in with? Have you ever used D-Star? Over to you, Paul.
Yeah, W0SUN ZL2BZ. Yes, I have occasionally used D-Star when there's nothing else available, but normally I establish a link via my hotspot dashboard and don't so much do the linking with the radio. Over.
Okay. When you come in with on Colorado HD, we call it Colorado Hotspot Discussion Talk Group because that's the label of our Brandmeister DMR Talk Group. And initially, we used this talk group to talk a lot about hotspots back in the day. So when you come into the system, how do you what modulation system, what type of radio do you use? Do you ever use Fusion, or like the percentage of time you link in, do you use DMR or Fusion or what? How much percentage of DMR do you use compared to Fusion, let's say?
Yes, W0SUN ZL2BZ. Yeah, I mainly use DMR. I used to use Fusion quite a lot to get to various networks, but I've sort of gone off that, and I use DMR because most of the networks allow DMR access, like XLX303 or XLX458. So I'm normally just going directly to XLX and setting the module for D or A, as the case may be on the various networks, and the network accepts my signals on DMR, and I don't have to go through Brandmeister to do that. Over.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. All right. Thanks a lot. I'm going to call on you to ask you a question about DMR navigation. One person who just came into the net, I saw Bud. You're on the net, W0RMT. Hey, thanks a lot, Paul. I'm going to call on you in just a bit. I wondered if you could just tell us a little bit about D-Star navigation and the different modulation or the different protocols that you link in with, and a little bit more, a little bit of, a little bit about that. Over to W0RMT if you can. Are you there, Bud? I know I'm calling on you, and this is kind of what I do sometimes. Over to W0RMT from W0SUN.
W0RMT. Hey, good evening, Bucky, and everybody on the net. I'm actually coming in on D-Star right now. So, yeah, I guess that's a good prompt for this. But I think what you're asking is the different protocols that you can connect on D-Star. I'm going through DCS. I'm using DCS protocol. But there are a number of different sort of protocols that you can use, and you can access those different ways with your MMVVM hotspot or through a repeater. There's D plus linking, D extra, and DCS. If you're on a repeater network, it depends on how that network is tied into the system of gateways. There's a lot of legacy things that go way back to the old ICOM V2 gateway system, and linking through that, you have to do sort of one way to route things. You can do different things. That would be the REF way, which is the D plus linking equivalent in MMVVM. You can use DCS, you can use D extra, and what it comes down to, it really makes no difference to the end user except in how you then would change modules depending on the type of hardware that you're using. For example, I'm using a THD75 and using DCS, it's pretty easy to change modules from the keypad by just typing in some DTMF codes. But functionally, they're all the same thing. They're just based on different legacy networks. D-Star's been around since, I don't know, 2004, maybe earlier, so you can imagine a lot of different legacy systems have been built around that protocol. I don't know if that addressed your question, Bucky. I'll send it back to you. W0SU and W0RNT.
Okay, so if you go to coloradodigital.net and click on the dashboard page, there's a link directly to our dashboard. I put a link into the chat room, and I'm also putting screenshots. So the legacy reflectors are called REF reflectors, and they use a protocol called D+. And then they came out with the XRF reflectors, and they use a protocol called D-Extra. And then they came out with the DCS reflectors, and they use a protocol called DCS, which is really what the XLX reflector is based on. So, what I want to ask you, Bud, I noticed when I went through a hotspot, I didn't know much about this at the time, but I used my D-Star radio, and I put into my code plug or my software, I put in when I connect, I put in XLX303D or A, as the case may be. Let's say if I want to connect to module A, I put in XLX303AL. When I want to unlink, I put in XLX303AU for unlink. But when I did it on a repeater, it didn't work. Finally, after troubleshooting, I put in DCS 303AL instead of XLX. Why do you think that happened? Why is that? Have you ever experienced that?
W0RNT. Well, I don't know the specific situation you're talking about, and honestly, I'm a little bit rusty on it, but it depends on what the gateway system is that the repeater is running. So if it's a traditional ICOM G2, then it's going to be REF. Everything will be REF for the linking and unlinking. And so when you have that programmed in, like the old way back when you had an ICOM ID91 or IC9180, I guess that's what they were called, and you programmed in these different DTMF strings, you would program in REF303A space L to make sure that you have that in, because you were using then the D+ linking from the original REF system. But nowadays, within a DVM, you can use any one of those. You can use D+, D-Extra, or DCS. One of the nice things about XLX is that it allows any of those linking protocols. And also, if you go to the modules list on our dashboard, it'll even give you the DTMF codes for linking or for accessing with each of those protocols. So that's another kind of nice thing. So when you set up your hotspot, if you set it up for DCS, for example, and you want to link to 303 alpha, the DTMF code is D303 alpha, and that will take you there. So yeah, it's, the legacy systems, you did a good job of explaining from the ICOM system to the XRF reflector system, then to the DCS system, and XLX is built on that. And it's kind of the nicest way, I think, because it's the most flexible way. So again, I'm not sure if I answered your question, Bucky, but back to you.
Okay, and I don't really want to, so this is kind of like a introduction to navigation with D-Star. And this is the way everybody has to learn how to program their D-Star radios. And it doesn't make sense at first, just like DMR doesn't make sense at first. But you start catching on. And these old legacy reflectors uses a protocol. The newer, so every type of reflector that came out, they added that into the ICOM system or whatever, and the ICOM radios does all these different types of protocols. But so is it a D+, is it D-Extra, is it DCS, and then you got the REF reflectors. So you don't have to memorize that. It's very specific how you link in. Now, one more question, Bud. I have one more question. Why does the XLX reflector do everything? So if I put in REF, if I put in XRF, if I put in DCS, if I put in XLX, it does them all, right? So this is the only type of reflector that is very open to allow people to, even if you make a mistake or if you put in whatever protocol, it seems like the XLX reflector does all the protocols for D-Star. Is that correct? And maybe you can explain that a little bit.
W0RMT. Yeah, sure, that is correct. That it has all those protocols built in, D plus the extra DCF. But the thing you need to know is they all need to be enabled by the administrator, so they don't have to be enabled. You can turn off one or all of them if you want. So different XLX reflectors may or may not have all three D-Star protocols enabled, D plus, D extra, and DCS. And just enabling them isn't enough too. You've got to configure your whole system because they all use different ports, for example. So it's a decision that the administrator will make on what protocols they want to enable and configure so people can access it. So if you go to a different XLX reflector, take a look at the modules list and see what protocols are enabled and, again, how to access those things. And I guess the thing I'll add about XLX is it's really not just a reflector, it's also a gateway, right? It's a multi-protocol gateway. That's why we use it. So you can connect directly to it using A-Star and different protocols. You can connect directly to it using VMR or connect directly to it using YSF. So it is a true gateway and not just a reflector in the sense that it's reflecting a bunch of different talk groups that are connected to it. You can gate to it, into and out of it using different protocols. So it's very flexible that way, and it has a lot of capabilities. But just be aware, different XLX reflectors may be set up differently. So if you go to one, try to find their dashboard, go to it, explore, see what all is enabled and connected, and have a look around. Oh, another nice thing, at most XLX reflectors on the dashboard, there'll be a tab for reflectors list, and that'll be links directly to a lot of the other XLX reflectors so you can poke around. Okay, back to you, Bucky. W0SUN, W0RMT.
Okay, really good. Really good. Thank you, Bud, so much. I'm so glad you checked in. Bud ran the original digital net once a week. That was actually called the Colorado Hotspot Discussion Net. And that was a great net. Thank you for, man, I learned a lot on that net. That was a great net. And thank you for supporting the digital learning net all these years. Really appreciate it. So I put a link into, just to let you know, every reflector can be used differently. And like Bud said, you can configure a reflector to not even allow like fusion. For example, I connected to a reflector with my fusion radio one time, and I tried to navigate with my fusion radio, and it would not let me. That's because the administrator configured it so Fusion cannot navigate. I don't know why they did that, but that's the way they did it, and I was really surprised. But I finally learned that, yeah, not all reflectors are used equally like other reflectors. So if you ever navigate to a reflector, you never know. I mean, it could be just used for D-Star. Now, another thing, D-Star used to require registration. It's called the registration for the D-Star Gateway. And when you use REF reflectors, if you have a D-Star radio, you have to register to use those classic REF reflectors. Okay, so hang on a second. Okay, sorry about that. The cool thing is, I think the XREF reflectors, you also have to register. But if you want to allow D-Star radios into your system, if you're using XLX reflector, there is no registration necessary. So if you get a D-Star radio and you only use it for XLX reflectors, you don't need to register. So that's kind of neat. So they're totally open protocol, open modulation system. They support, it doesn't matter, it supports for D-Star, REF, XRF, DCS, XLX. You can put in XLX into your hotspot, it'll know, and it'll negotiate with the reflector. So it's great. So, I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what D-Star users have to do to navigate. They have these linking strings, and you can link, you can unlink, and there's other commands as well. So there's one for echo, there's one for information, and it's pretty neat. D-Star can be pretty neat. A lot of people just love D-Star. I like running D-Star sometimes, but mostly I like running DMR and Fusion. All right, let me pause and take a break here.
Quick question, Lucky.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm just wondering that if you use XLX and you're not registered in the network, will people that are registered and perhaps using a different mode still hear you and see your data stream? Will that affect, if they don't register, will everything still be passed? All the information that you see on your radio, that you see on a hotspot, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just curious. Back to you, sir. KB2IDX.
All right. Yeah, it's been an interesting net so far. I was getting lots of distractions there for a while. I don't know if you could tell. I was trying to run the net and getting distractions at the same time, so I was truly multitasking there. All right, I'm back on track now. So we're talking about the XLX reflector and how it's the really the core of our system. So here's the thing: if you come in on the reflector allows YSF through a hotspot, D-Star through a hotspot, or DMR through a hotspot. All right, you don't even have to go through Brandmeister. You can go directly to the reflector. And so you navigate based on your radio's capability. So it's native navigation. So in Yaesu, there's a thing called DGID navigation. And in DMR, you need to navigate with private or group calls with a talk group. And in D-Star, it's linking and unlinking. So there's different ways of navigation. And if you go to the modules page, that's the key to give you a clue on navigation. So let's talk about how you can navigate and connect into our XLX 303 reflector. And it just so happens that we've connected several modules into WiresX. Now, you got to keep in mind, if you're coming in on WiresX, you're not coming in directly to the reflector. You're coming into the Yaesu network. So what we've done is bridge only a few modules, not all of them, but a few modules into WiresX. And what we've done is we've put information directly on the reflector page to help you learn to navigate. So module D is WiresX number 43674. module A is WiresX number 65045. And so you can actually come in and change to those rooms, and you can go from D to A to D. And if you're on a Yaesu WiresX repeater, you can actually navigate to a couple of these, not all of them, but a couple of these modules. For example, module G, there's no WiresX on module G, but there is on A and C. B, we've lost the link temporarily, but A and C and D and E and even F and also H, they've got WiresX rooms. I was running to beat the clock on that one. Man, so I timed out at the very, very last second. Okay. Yeah, Chris, yeah, go, okay, yeah, I did miss your question. I was just wrapping up. Yeah, okay. Go ahead and, you're going to have to repeat the question. Sorry, it's just been a crazy net because I suddenly got this influx of distractions just coming from different places and different people texting me and stuff. And there was a thing that I had to take care of. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, okay. I forgive you. But you know, they do have this thing on cell phones that's called an off switch. They even have, some have a do not disturb. No, but Bucky, my question was this. If someone uses the XLX system without registering through the D-Star system, U.S. Trust, I think, and they're going about connecting and everything, will all the other stations still see them, hear them, and see their data flow and their hotspots and their radio? I mean, if they talk to someone else, say somebody was on 30 Charlie and somebody came in on an XLX with a DMR radio, is the person cross-banding, moding, excuse me, via XLX to a D-Star module, is the person on the other end going to see their data? Will they hear them? Is there any detriment to not registering, is my point. KB2IDX.
If you do not register on the U.S. Trust network, it's called the ICOM U.S. Trust network, you're not allowed on the REF reflector. Your transmission, it'll try to get you to connect, or you may connect, but you will not even be able to transmit. It'll appear to be transmitting, but they will not see you. They will not hear you. I don't even think you can connect. So, no, you can't, you may not pass. You cannot pass. You shall not pass. If you do not register, you are not allowed on the REF reflector system. So even if, so if somebody tries to do some kind of fancy gateway thing, and they would have to allow you to pass through their own call sign. So you could put a club call sign on and you could transmit, but it would be that club call sign that is registered to allow you in. Your own call sign would never come across.
Okay. That's what I needed to know. Back to you, sir. KB2IDX.
Right. So here's another thing. The XLX reflector, you can set up an XLX reflector, and it'll be on the entire D-Star routing system, and people can connect with their D-Star radio as easy as they can with an REF reflector. So it'll be on the system, it'll be in their database, and it's really convenient. It'll route you correctly, but the XLX is not part of the US Trust ICOM network. It is outside of that network. You do not have to register to use the XLX reflector. So that's the cool thing about it. So that's the summary of how you get on with D-Star. So if you have a club reflector and somebody's a new ham, they can connect right away. They don't even need to register. Now, if you register on the U.S. system, has nothing to do with a radio ID. So there's people registered on the U.S. Trust system, and they transmit, and if there's a bridge, their call sign is going to show up with no call. It's not going to be, their call sign is not going to come across. So if you want to be heard and seen everywhere, it's best to register. If you're using a D-Star radio, it's very good to register with the U.S. Trust system, and it's very good to get a radio ID, no matter what digital system you use. So there's two things you got to do: U.S. Trust and DMR ID. Now with Fusion, those. So with Fusion and DMR, there's nothing you have to do with the ICOM US Trust. You'll never have to do that, but it's always good practice to get a radio ID. Always. Even if WiresX does not require it, YSF does not require it, but if you want your call sign to come across, and on some systems, they don't actually let you transmit based on configuration. There are some systems, if you do not have a radio ID, you are not going to be heard. So just keep that in mind. Okay, there is KC1RAY. Ray in Massachusetts, you've got a question?
Yes. Do you allow the DR2X to an IMRS connection into your reflector?
Yes, we do. Natively, we allow IMRS to be connected directly into the XLX reflector. We allow YSF, DCS, D+, DMR gateway, and IMRS natively to connect. DExtra, all those protocols. IMRS is a Yaesu protocol, and it's not WiresX. It's a Yaesu protocol outside of the WiresX network.
Alrighty. Well, I'm coming to you through a DMR repeater, but we also have a repeater in Providence, Rhode Island, which is the DR2X, and we use IMRS to connect to our reflector. So on Wednesday, we may connect over you for the net, and I just wanted to ask before we did anything.
Yeah, one of our administrators, Dave WD0HDR, has an IMRS repeater, and he connects to this XLX reflector with his IMRS connected repeater. So what we're talking about is there's two ways to do an internet connection with a Yaesu repeater. So you can order an Yaesu DR2X repeater for when they go on sale. You can pay, what is it, $700 or $900? I don't know, $700 without the network card option. And if you're going to use a HRI 200 to get into WiresX only, you don't need to spend that extra money for the network card. But if you want to use outside of WiresX, you can do either HRI 200 or you can do a network card. So even if you buy the extra network card, you have a choice. You cannot do both at the same time. You can either do a connectivity with an HRI 200. Now, my repeater uses an HRI 200 system going into WiresX. I also have a network card. So if I choose to disconnect and reconfigure it with a network card, my protocol is no longer WiresX. It is IMRS. So when I use that network card, I have to use IMRS. With that IMRS capability, I can link into other repeaters using IMRS. There are other networks out there using IMRS. You can connect to any XLX reflector as long as the configuration is allowing that with IMRS, which is what we're doing. That's pretty cool. Let me tell you a little secret. I'm going to tell you a secret regarding AMCOM. So one of the administrators over the AMCOM DMR network is John Kruk, who actually works for Yaesu. He's the sales manager. Now, he's established a IMRS server, so you can link into his IMRS server, which is part of AMCOM, and you can actually reserve a DGI, you can navigate with your DGID. So what you do is you assign certain cells in IMRS software, and you give it a DGID and an IP address. So if you can assign, let's say, DGID 50, and you can reserve, if you contact the AMCOM people, they'll give you an assignment and say, here's an IP address, here's a DGID. When you connect, you configure this in your software with an IP address, and you can use DGID, 50. So they're going to assign you DGID 50. You put your DGID 50 in there, and so your network, your people using your repeater, once they put their DGID 50 in, it sends it to AMCOM. Now, you can assign another DGID to XLX303, and when you assign an IP, you get our IP address, and you can link in. You can use that DGID to navigate into our XLX. It's like a spreadsheet. So you can assign different cells with different IP addresses and different type of systems. So you can link to other repeaters. You just get the IP address. You can link to different networks, AMCOM being one of them, etc., etc., etc. Now here's the secret. I'm going to reveal a secret for AMCOM. Are you ready? I'm going to reset. That AMCOM IMRS server is an XLX reflector in disguise. So underneath, if you open up the hood, it's an XRX reflector. They disguised it. So they redid it. They made it look really pretty, and it matches the AMCOM entire HP. So the entire AMCOM network is based on HP Link version 3. That's some connectivity software. So they've spruced it up. They made it look pretty, and they took an XLX reflector and recoded it and made it look pretty so it matches the entire HP Link system. So when you look at that, if you go to the AMCOM network and you look at all the master servers and you go to the IMRS server, that's actually an XLX reflector. It just doesn't look like one, but it is one. All right, so yeah, that's pretty cool. If you look on the XLX list, you're going to see that that network, that IMRS server is actually an XLX reflector. So that's pretty cool. All right, Chris, I'm going to turn it back over to you and let you take it from here. I think that's all I can talk about. I will continue this discussion probably next week because I got a lot more to say about it, and we'll take some more Q&A or whatever. But back over to KB2IDX from W0SUN.
Okay, Bucky. Thank you, sir. Let me start by getting the attendance caught up here in the chat room. ZL2BEZ, KF0LGZ, KA1CN, W0RMT, Fork, W4KSK, W3KDB, KF0ODD, and AE0NO. I'm Marv. And that's brought us up to 51. And at this time, if there was anyone who would like to check in over the air, who hasn't been near their computer or doesn't want to, here's your opportunity. Over the air check-ins, please come now.
Kilo Sierra 4 Kilo. Name here is Dennis, located in South Georgia, coming in through D-Star. Whiskey Bravo 6, Delta India Kilo, Dick, Palm Desert, California. Coming through on XLX 303.
WE2NYY in Hopewell Junction, New York, wires X.
KI5YNS, XLX303 via Droidstar, San Antonio, Texas.
Whiskey 9, Sierra Juliet Oscar, Steve in Appleton, Wisconsin, coming through on the DMR side. How about that? We picked up 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. See, got Marv, KS4K, W6DIK, WA2, NYY, KI5YNS, and W9SJO. Alrighty, thanks. The last call for check-ins over the air. KB2 IDX. Alrighty. Oh, there's Eric. Got Eric. K0SMR. Just added it to the last second. Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you for checking in, listening, and some good questions tonight. We got some good info. A lot of stuff going on in the digital world right now, so pay attention. If you're a WPSD person for your Pi-Star hotspot, I've been watching the WPSD on Discord. That is the direct place to ask questions by Chip and his friends, so check that out. But of interest. Thanks also for Colorado Digital for supporting the net. Thank you, Sean, KK6 Bravo Echo Bravo, for Hands On It Live, a masterpiece for nets. And Bucky, before I close it, is there anybody else we need to thank at this time? KB2IDX, over to you, sir.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody that checked in tonight. So many people that have become part of the Colorado digital system. I mean, I consider everybody here. I mean, there's so many people. I can't even name them all. But thanks for coming in, being part of it. I know I've met you and talked to you, and we have so many friends here every single week. And I could just list so many. Thanks for tuning in. There's 57 check-ins tonight. That's fantastic. So keep it coming. So I just want to thank Colorado Digital and everybody else. Chris, thanks for doing the net with me. By the way, Doug K0DC, he works now during this time, and he started the net every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock a.m. on XLX022 Module H. And he's got, it's similar to the After Hours net, the HD Happy Hour. So we're going to be starting that in about 5 minutes. So this is toward the end of the formal portion of the net. Once we finish this portion, we go into the informal portion of the net, and we continue to have several discussions about anything digital or whatever. So thanks a lot, everybody. Back to KB2IDX from W0SUN.
Okay. As Bucky said, 57 check-ins tonight. And we will be in the after hours after party shortly. And I will hereby actually officially close the net. Like 5 minutes early, goodness. But we'll get the after hours started early. Because there's nothing else we can do here. Till all the time, Bucky. Everybody have a good one. See you in the after hours tomorrow night on KCY. We'll have more interesting stuff over there. And that's it. See you in a little bit. Please allow a few seconds for anyone that needs to disconnect. Let's make it about 15, 20 seconds at least. I'll be here shortly. KB2IDX. All right, this is Bucky, W0SUN. Come right next door. We have another chat room opened.
just go on ham.live right next door to the HD DLN happy hour, the HDN happy hour. Come on in. Also, I want to remind you, let's see, Doug's Net on Saturday morning. I put the information in there. It's on XLX Reflector 022 Module H. Wires X room is actually 00728. It's not on Brandmeister, but it is on AMCOM 31081 and TGIF Talk Group 356. All right, so yeah, it's a pretty nice net, similar to the After Hours net. So come on in on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Mountain Time.